So the MCU over the past couple of years has been really bad. And I know I said in my last video when I talked about the MCU that it could be coming to a big grinding halt in terms of content. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. The MCU has not really put out a whole lot of content this year, which is not bad because I actually think that releasing less content and making good quality content is better. However, when you release very little content and that content that does come out is trash, that's not good. Just over the past 4 months, we've had the Marvels, Secret Invasion, and now with the ending of Loki Season 2, we don't really have anything else to look forward to. At least anything that's actually good. Now, I've said it before, but I think the MCU is wanting to go more of a route of releasing TV shows instead of actual movies. And I'm not even joking, we have one movie coming out in the entirety of 2024 compared to 6 TV shows. And the movie that's coming out is Deadpool, by the way. But I'm sure the shows are gonna be good, right? You know, we have Echo, What If, Agatha, X-Men 97, and Spider-Man Freshman Year. I don't know one person that actually wants to watch Echo, let alone Agatha, which is kind of a big issue. The MCU has around 3 to 4 years until it's reaching its peak. And by peak, I mean Secret Wars and the Kang Dynasty. However, the issue is, the MCU doesn't have enough content to actually make a good storyline. No joke, how is Echo, Agatha, What If, X-Men, how is any of this going to tie in anything to do with the MCU? With there being only one movie coming out, and considering it's also Deadpool 3, none of that's going to be tying into the main MCU timeline except maybe Secret Wars. But the thing is, we've not even seen the true effects of anything that's happened in the MCU so far. There's still a lot of plot lines and plot holes that's happened in Eternals that is still not showed up in one MCU movie. I think people have kind of realized that the MCU is not really wanting to make good content at this point. Loki season 1 and 2 was by far some of the best actual MCU television that we've ever got. And then when you add in Secret Invasion and the Marvels, you really don't understand what they're even going for at this point. Secret Invasion was really stupid. It was like some weird James Bond type show mixed with superpowers for no reason. And then you have the Marvels. I made a whole video about it, by the way, so yeah. But I think what this shows is the MCU doesn't really have a story to go off at this point. Kang is pretty much a dead end. He was pretty much defeated in Ant-Man Quantumania, and also considering that Jonathan Majors is in a lot of trouble, it doesn't really seem like he's going to be in the MCU for a little while. Also, like I mentioned earlier, there is like no connection with any of the movies that's released in the past couple of years. I mean, yeah, all the things that happened in No Way Home is starting to show effect in the MCU, but it's really only being shown through Doctor Strange and Venom. However, that's not even the biggest issue in the MCU right now. A lot of insiders that work at Marvel have been saying that a lot of these newer people like Kate Bishop and characters that were already established, like Moon Knight and characters like that, are going to be pushed to the side for older characters returning. And I'm not joking, an actual article was even written about this from the Variety. But then again, it is insider information. I don't know 100% if it's true or not, but knowing Marvel, everything they've pulled over the last 3 years, I'm sure it is. Now, all of that really got me thinking. I thought, well, maybe the MCU is just kind of fading and Marvel in general doesn't really care anymore. But I don't really think it makes sense to start off with newer movies like Fantastic Four and then eventually trying to go to Secret Wars. Clearly trying to build a bigger universe, and I don't really understand why they're doing this when most of the movies that's been coming out are really bad. However, what doesn't make sense is the fact that these movies that took so long to complete, kind of like the Marvels and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they were not really that good. I mean, yeah, Guardians 3 was pretty good, but the Marvels wasn't. And neither are the shows that they've been pushing out everywhere. Most of them are really bad. They're trying to expand the MCU in a very bad way. Most of the original content is not good. It also doesn't make sense when a lot of these movies that were supposed to be coming out relatively soon or within the next year are being pushed back a year and a half for like no reason. I thought it was the writer's strike and all these other things, but to be honest with you, the MCU has a long streak of doing this. They've done it with a lot of Spider-Man movies, they've done it with Doctor Strange, and they've done it with all kinds of shows too. So at this point, I'm pretty sure they're trying to delay their content. Maybe they're trying to make better content. I doubt it, but it's a possibility. And for a very long time, I kind of thought that the MCU was just a subject of superhero fatigue. People were kind of getting tired of these superhero shows and movies, but I don't really think that's the case. You have shows like Invincible, The Boys, that are actually really good, and they're actually very, very popular. I would say almost as popular as the MCU right now. And it's not because people were wanting a different style of superheroes, they're just wanting better content. I don't think that superheroes are the problem. I think it's the MCU. I think people have a thing that I like to call MCU fatigue, where we don't want to watch the same movie that's been recycled and threw together in like a year or two, and then, you know, the same process over and over again. Most of the movies that came out in phase 4 were really bad, and there's no defending any of that. The MCU obviously is just in a very bad state, but is it possible for the MCU to come back and maybe be on top again, kind of like how they were against DC and all these other universes? Maybe. I don't really know. I think it's in a bad spot just because of the way they dealt with things and released terrible content, and it made half their fan base mad for no reason. It just kind of shows that they don't really care. Also, Kevin Feige is an issue. He signs off on almost every single project to be made, and most of them are really bad. It's not that he's bad at choosing directors. While yeah, some of them haven't been the best, it's mainly his influence that's making these shows and movies really bad. Moon Knight was very slow, and it made a lot of people lose interest really quick. Also, just to kind of prove my point, Kevin Feige talked to Entertainment Tonight and said that they were doing a project with Scarlett Johansson and doing stuff with Robert Downey Jr. So, yeah. Now, whether that be voice acting, whether it be whatever, I'm sure it has something to do with the main MCU timeline. Now, I'm sure by Secret Wars, we're probably going to have Iron Man, Captain America, everyone back, kind of like how Avengers Endgame was. And that's not what I want, but that's probably what the MCU is going to turn into. What's the best way to get half of your fan base back? Make a return with all of the original characters. That's pretty much it. Or, you know, you always could just make a good movie. Also, talking about Kevin Feige, he is known to literally flex his power anywhere he goes. He's done it on Secret Invasion, he just done it on Loki, and I'm sure if he wanted, he could get any other cast member that's died, kind of like Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., can get any of them back at any moment. Why wouldn't you accept a bunch of cash just for returning as a fan favorite character? It's died, kind of like Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., can get any of them back at any moment. Why wouldn't you accept a bunch of cash just for returning as a fan favorite character? Well, I'm talking about Robert Downey Jr., not Scarlett Johansson. Also, he was planning on doing stuff with Star Wars. Thank God he didn't actually touch it, because I'm sure if he did, Luke Skywalker would somehow be back and, you know, de-aged and everything else. Now, I did see a lot of people defending Kevin Feige, saying that Disney does need a lot of content and that they signed a lot of deals with Disney, and that seems about right. But hey, I don't know. Maybe the MCU should just stop in general. I don't really know at this point. Maybe that'd be for the better.